So I have the engine on the bench now, and if you listen to this, I don't think I have to explain how bad the bearings must be in this engine. I still can't understand why it wouldn't run. I mean, if I could show you, I put my finger over the top of this, and if I could find a way of holding the phone here. Just give me a second. I really do have to invest in a phone stand or something. Hopefully that'll work for you. So you'll see when I stick my thumb or finger on the hole where the spark plug goes. You hear that? Sucking and blowing. So it does have some compression. I'm not sure how much compression it actually has, and I did have a look inside in an exhaust hole, and I can see the rings on the piston are as loose as they're supposed to be, so I don't understand what might be going on. I do see a bit of scoring on the piston, but we'll have a better look now in a minute or two when I'm starting to pull this apart. So see you in a minute or two. Figured the position I have yous in there is pretty good, so I think I'm just going to leave yous there, the position that yous are in, because it's pretty good. And I'm going to start on this. Now, when I got the red bike, I didn't have these covers, special covers for directing the air across the top of the engine, and so I don't know how to take these off because I've never had to take them off before, but I'm going to try and figure it out here. See, there's a couple of size 8mm bolts, so we'll have a go at that. We'll get an 8 and we'll see what we can do. That's an 8. So the first thing is getting the tin work off. That's what we're going to do. Got that out. I'm going to put the wee bolt back into it to hold it so we know where everything goes and the way everything goes. Okay, so there's 2 other little bolts there, and I'm going to take them and I'm going to tape them to the tin piece so that I don't lose them. I know they're the right ones. This is a common thing that I will do when I'm doing bikes, that I won't lose stuff. So I'll tape it to the actual piece that it belongs to, and I'll leave it there. That's what I do. There you go. So we're not going to lose that now. All the pieces are there. Right. And I might just stick that choke system back on that. Though I don't think it really matters because there's no hole there or anything, it just screws to it. And I'm not going to be using this choke, I'm going to be using a new carburetor. Because I feel that the 2 carburetors I have here are not great. But for now I'll just half screw it in there. Leave it as is. Just easier that way. Right, I did not video myself taking apart the last engine. I showed you bits of it, but this time I think I'm going to show you the whole lot so that you have a real good understanding of how it's put together and all that stuff. So the first thing that you take off is this. I can just show you, tip you forward a bit or something. And we were about to pull the fan cover off, so this is the first place I start, with the fan cover. And I'll loosen all 4 bolts that's on it. So 2, number 3, and number 4. There we go. Put your bolts back in so that you don't lose them. Although, well, the flywheel might clean up okay. I think the other flywheel's probably, off the spare engine's probably in better condition. Never mind. I mean, this thing does have compression. I'm just really confused as to why I couldn't get it to run when it ran the first night that I got it. So it's a bit odd. Anyway, so I'll just stick my fan there for now. And you'll see that in the center of this is a nut, and you have to loosen that up. I think it's a 14, size 14. So let me see, this one maybe, no, too small. Probably this one, and I'm correct and right. So you have to find some way of keeping your engines from spinning when you're doing this. So I usually get a bit of a screwdriver in between the 2 bolts, just enough to let it loosen up, but sometimes you can have trouble. Tapers, that's tight. That is tight. Let me get a stronger screwdriver. This is a good big thick screwdriver, and I'm gonna wedge it between the 2 bolts that hold on the fan and the one that holds on the exhaust there. Wow, that is tight. Yes, I have it. It's loose, but that took a bit of fettling there to get that loose. Wow, that was. I don't like my chances of pulling this flywheel off really easily. We'll see. Just see where I put my screwdriver here. Yeah, there. Okay. So you need one of these tools if you want to pull off the flywheel. I'm sure a handy guy might have another way of doing this, but this is the best way. I find this is the best way, and this is the tool. You can buy it on eBay. It's just it's specifically a Honda puller for a starter puller, and it's backwards threaded in backwards. Into that. Then you get the top of it and you screw it down until you feel it hitting the top of the shaft. Then you get a good wrench to hold one bit of it. So I've got that. And you get the right size wrench for that, which is probably a 14 maybe? Maybe. Might be bigger. No, it's way bigger. 18, too big. Must be 17 then, which is abnormal. Yep, it's 17. So you hold one side of it and you turn the other side of it until you get it to pop off. It doesn't always go according to plan. Yeah, You hear that crack? That was it loosening up. So job done there. What size is that? That's the 11 I was looking for. Right, so you just keep screwing it in, and the only thing that's holding it there, you'll feel something holding it, but it's only magnetism, so it's perfectly loose. You'll be able to pull it off just like that. So, job done. Few marks in on the flywheel there, or whatever's going on with it. See that? It's not on the rest of them, which is quite odd. Maybe that's what was making the noise, and not the actual bearings. Oh no, I can hear them. No, definitely bad bearings. Now, this is what you're left with when you take the flywheel off. The starter, if you want to call it that. And as I showed you in the other video, there's two bolts that hold the starter itself on. That's here and here, and you take them off. Then in behind that there's 4 bolts. This one will be longer than the rest. You take them 4 bolts out. And the mistake I made last time was I didn't recognise that there was a bolt in here that I had to loosen, as well as here. So make sure you get all them. I'll be back with you in a second when I turn it to a position where you can see what I'm doing. These bolts are a size 8, so we had an 8 earlier, and this is it. And we're going to loosen the starter first. And when you get that done, take your nut for your crankshaft and put it back on, just in case you lose it. And find a safe place for these 2 bolts belonging to the starter. So just put them there. And you loosen up the 4 bolts in the inside of it. I'm liking that clicking noise. It means that it hasn't been opened by anyone else in a while, if ever. There's that one loosened up, and that one loosened up. And I can already see that the seal is gone on the crankshaft seal. There's oil coming out around it, so that's probably going to cause issues with compression and stuff, I would imagine. So that could be one of the problems. If you don't know what I'm on about, you can see this grease or the oil sitting on the shaft here. There's a little seal that goes in here around that, and it wears out after a while and starts letting air pass through and oil, and so it takes away from the compression a bit, and the bike runs a bit rough. A perfect sign of that is if you start the bike up, it revs up really high and then stops. That would be it, especially on 4-stroke bikes, but this is a 2-stroke. There's the longer bolt that I was telling you about. Okay. Ah yes, there it is. I was looking for my fourth bolt. It's down here. I knew I had it before. I got it. So you've got 3 this size and one longer one. That's the longer one there. It goes up in this top right corner. Now, usually, I've actually got 2 more to take out. I better just take them out. There's the first one. The other one can be quite difficult to get in on unless you've got a socket that's pretty straight. These stepped sockets don't go down well in that area. Hold on, I've realised that you can't see there what I'm at. So let me just zoom that out a bit, tiny bit. Now you can see what I'm at. So I have another bolt in here to get, and those stepped sockets are no good. You need one of these, a straight one, size 8, so that's what I'm going to be using. And even at that, it can be difficult to get in at it. Yep, that's that one. Now, usually you'd be able to just bang the casing now and open it up, but I forgot to take off the head bolts, so I'm going to have to readjust just here that you can see the head and what I'm at with it. There's the head, and there's 4 bolts on top of that, as you can see. 1, 2, 3, 4. You loosen them up, and then you should be able to just lift off the head and the barrel, hopefully with no great difficulty. I'll be back with you in a second when I start doing that. Starting to take off the head now, and what you've got are size 10 bolts. First one, and these can be pretty tight. That one wasn't very tight at all, so that could be a culprit too for the bike not running correctly. It's like it's been opened by somebody. So that's the first one. Yeah, second one. I mean, these things should be pretty tight because you need to get a good seal around the head to make sure that the bike's going to run right. It's not taking in any air from elsewhere. But these are not very tight. I think somebody's been in here before, in honesty. Fourth. Yep. Not very tight. There we go. So I'll just screw them out a bit more. Yeah, there's that one, loosen that and that and that one. That should be the head. The head should come off now. Actually, do you know, I'm just going to take this choke system off here in order to remove it. Just makes it easier. Okay, take the choke system out of the road and just lift the head clean off. And surprisingly, the head on this, the cylinder on this don't look too bad from where I'm standing. I'll know now in a second. I need to get a mallet at it just to loosen it up. So. Sometimes you do have to hammer a wee bit at it to get it to loosen up. Yeah, there we go. And there we go. Barrel is away. Well, I don't know if you can see that, but that barrel is as clean as anything, really. Really very clean. I have a new one on the way, but I don't think I really needed it, to be honest with you. I think that's pretty good. So we must have another problem. I had to take this apart anyway because I'm replacing the crank. I'll have a little look at the rings. And yeah, there is a bit of marking on the piston here, but the rings look good. There's a lot of blow by on the piston now, I have to say. Wow, there's an awful amount of petrol in the case. That could be a reason for it not running. I suppose the best thing to do is to take the camera over and show you. So that's the back of the piston. You can see a lot of blow by here. A lot of blow by there. And on the front shows a few little marks like there, but there's no scoring really, not any real scoring, and the rings look good, you know, but I'll be replacing all this anyway, just for the sake of doing it. So that's a look inside the head of the engine, which I thought would have been a lot worse. Okay, so I'm going to get my set of needle nose pliers here, and I'm going to take out the piston, which I will be replacing. Have to find the right place to bend it. It's very hard to see here. Can't really get a look at where the edge of it is. No look. I'll try from the back, maybe the other side. Can't really see it. Very difficult. I got it. And sort of lost it, but I do have a spare. I think I lost it. Yeah, I lost it. Yeah. Oh, it's on the ground here. It's on the ground. Well, I'll get it in a minute. So we just then pop the wrist pin out. Simple as that. Once you get that out, you can just literally pull the piston off, like so, and put the wrist pin back in and get your keeper wherever the hell it went and put it back in so you don't lose anything. Doesn't matter to me, I have a spare anyway. So when I got that off, I had a look at the crank, and it is not healthy, guys, not at all. Look at the play, it's in that. So good decision to try and change that, especially when you hear the bearings. You can just hear them. So yeah, definitely a good idea to be changing the whole lot. There you go. So the other day I was showing you how to take the starter out of it and the oil pump. So I'm just showing you again that over here, if I can swing you around, give me a second. Yeah. Over here you've got 2 bolts for the starter, and they're positioned, if I can point it out to you, down here and one up here. So you loosen them, and sometimes you do have to hammer at the starter a bit to get it out. And I may need to take this cover off, but I'll see what I can do without doing that first. So you're going to be using an 8 for this. I think it's an 8. It's an 8. So that one, you just loosen them 2 up, and that's it. So I'll be back with you in a second. So just before I finish taking these bolts out, I'll point out that the earth wire for the starter is attached to this top one. So when you're putting it back in, make sure you put that wire on. The bottom one has a little kind of a holder for the other wiring of the bike, and it's just a little holder to hold it steady. So make sure you put them back on. Hopefully this starter is not going to give us too much hassle getting it off. Once you've taken these 2 bolts out, there's nothing else holding that starter, so sometimes you just have to hammer at it a fair bit to get it out. So, but it should come out. There's no reason why. It's actually quite loose, this one. It may come out by hand, or with gentle persuasion it might come out. I'll try doing it by hand first. It's always the best option. Believe it or not, the plate for the oil pump is holding it in, so we're going to have to go to the trouble of getting that plate took off, which can be a real annoyance. I'll give it a shot with a 10. I thought now the last time when I was taking the other motor apart that you could remove the starter first and then the oil pump without having to take the plate off the oil pump, but I might be wrong. It's looking like I'm wrong, guys. So I'm just going to have to go to the trouble of trying to remove it. Right guys, so I got it figured out. No, you have to take off the oil pump first. And when I got these 2 bolts loosened up, the oil pump literally just with a bit of fettling pulled right out. And then the starter wasn't coming past this, but I just bent it a tiny bit and then it just came. So I take it that that's the way it's supposed to be, that the starter's meant to just come straight up, and that's it, past that plate. So I'm going to leave that plate on, and I'm going to put the covers back onto it with the nuts so I don't lose them and I know where to go. So there you go. Now that I've got all that done, all bolts removed, I should be able to hit this pop with the hammer. Hopefully it'll be easy enough to take off. Sometimes you can have a little bit of bother with them. So let's see what's going to happen here. It's moving. One way or the other. I don't know if the bearing's coming with it or not though. But it's definitely putting up a good fight. Wow, that really is putting up a fight. I've never had this much real trouble getting this off. And every bolt is out, it's just putting up a fight and that's it. And sometimes it'll do that. Okay, so after a bit of banging and prising, got it to come out, as you can see. And these bearings are not good. They're pretty shit actually. So that would not have been helping with the whole situation. That and the crank, don't know if you can see that. See the wear. So that wouldn't have been helping things either. So it's a good job I opened it, and I'm going to rebuild it. But those bearings were just proving to be a bit of a bitch to get out. So they eventually didn't come out, and I managed to get it tucked clean off the crank. So that's a very heavily worn crank. As a matter of fact, everything on this bike was very heavily worn. Even the little rollers that go into the wrist pin part of the crank here were just so well worn that the wee bearings just fell out of it whenever I pulled it out. So, and I've got a spare one of them anyway, which is better. So now I have to take the casing off and get a bit of heat and try and get the crank off. Wish me luck with that. Now, actually the casing's quite dry. I thought it was full of petrol, but I was wrong. And I don't have that piece on my bike, my red bike. I don't know what that is. But in here, it don't look in too bad a shape. Somebody's really chewed up the nut of the clutch. Really chewed it up. I could have a handle in getting that off. But, like, I might as well go the rest of the way and take it all apart. What size that is. Throw my case over there for now. Bigger than that. Bigger than that, probably that number 17. That's exactly what it is. Now to do this, I usually get a star point screwdriver, good one, and I'll jam it in here so that the crank doesn't turn, and with a bit of luck this will loosen up easy enough. Sometimes you gotta fight with them. It's just the nature of the game. Yeah, I got it. We have it. I would safely say that the rollers in this are flattened to the last, and if not, they've been changed recently, which I didn't think that it had been opened. It didn't look to me like one that had ever been opened. Wow, variator's really stuck. That could be a job getting that out of there. I'll just take the belt off. I'll hang it up somewhere where I don't lose it. And the pulley wheel don't look too bad. Bearings have seen better days. Bearings. Definitely so. I'm going to get this off this. This is going to be difficult. Why does nothing ever just want to move the way that it should? This could be an issue. Yeah, it's moving. Spanners was nearly away there again. I really got to get them nailed to the wall. It is coming. It is coming though. Yay, we got it. Eventually, and I didn't even have to heat up the damn thing to pull it out of the crank, so yeah, that crank's pretty badly worn, in fairness. Don't think I'll be using that, or its bearings are really bad, really bad. So it'll be new bearings and it'll be new wow, the inside of that's pretty rough too. Oh, there's splines on that one. No splines on the other ones that I have. No splines on the actual. I don't think I'll be using that again if I have a spare one somewhere. I don't think I do though. I don't think I have a spare one. I'm not putting that back on. Ah well, that's it took down as far as we need it down, guys, and I'll need to get new bearings and stuff, and I'll fit the old crank then. The new crank, sorry, new old stock, or new old crank. That in there's pretty shit. This is a pretty good one. Yeah, it's pretty good. Can't believe how bad the bearing is on that. Anyway guys, that's it. I have the engine took apart. That's how you take it apart. Now I hope that when you're taking yours apart you won't have as much trouble as I did. I don't usually run into this trouble, but this is a very old bike and it's not been run a long time, and you could never expect things to just go according to plan when it's been like that. There you go, that's just the way things pan out sometimes. The variator I'm not happy with. Not happy with the core of the variator. So I may have to get a new centerpiece for that if I don't already have one here. I mean, there's some really nasty scores inside that. You probably can't see them. See them there? Like, how could you put that back on? You wouldn't. Not when you have it pulled down this far and everything else. So I'll see what I can do with it. I'm pretty interested to see inside the variator, going to see what the rollers are like. We'll have a wee look, will we, quickly before I have to go. My last night of the holidays tonight. Do you know what? That's not even an 8. I don't know what size that is. That's tiny. It's probably that size, is it? Yeah. What size is that? That's a 7. Yeah. Let's see what we got. Sorry about the big long aisle video this time, guys. Some of you might like that, but I know that there's a lot of you that probably don't and haven't watched the half of it. I will try and cut it down a bit. Obviously when I'm editing it. There's a lot of stuff you don't really need to see that much. Yes, of course you want to. Can some of you comment and tell me what you want to see? Do you want to see these big long videos, or do you want me to cut them shorter and do only bits? You know what? These rollers ain't half bad. They've been changed recently. There's no flat spots on them. Don't know what weight they might be. They're pretty good. Not much grease in there either. Well, it's all petrol. So this bike's been really sucking in a lot of petrol for some reason or another into the casings. But anyway, that's the way it is. Yeah, whoever had this last did have an idea of what they were doing with it. Why it wasn't running, I don't know. I haven't figured that out yet. Although I have my suspicions that the crankshaft seals was part of the problem. And not only that, but there was other issues with the piston rings. I moved one of the piston rings and it broke in my hand. It was cracked, or must have been cracked or something, because it broke in my hand. So that might have been the issue why it wasn't, but it did seem to have compression. I mean, you'd think it would have just tried to run at least, because the other ring was okay. But look it, you live and you learn, don't you? I've got this bike in a pile of bolts on the bench here, and it's probably going to be like that for another week or two. And I ain't working at any other engines when I have this one sitting here pulled apart. Simple as that. I'll probably just fix this engine and then move on to whatever other ones I was at already. But I wanted to get this bike up and running because I may have a chance to sell it. There's a guy, he's kind of half interested, and I want to have it running. And I might decide to keep it, might not sell it at all. We'll just see what way the apple falls. Never comes to that. I'd really like to keep it for my father. My father likes bikes. He had an old CG 125. Used to give me spins on it when I was a kid. And that's where my interest in them came from. Not that any parent wants their young ones to be interested in things like this. Well, not any seeing one anyway. I had to get a new centerpiece for that variator. It's quite horrible. Where's the new crank? I'll put it on it just to keep it all together. Yeah, it's even not gone down on the, oh, it is going down on the new crank. But wow, I've never seen a bearing that was really that bad. It really is bad, guys. That bike wouldn't have lasted much longer. They'd just kept running it the way that it was. That's for sure. Right, that'll do me tonight. I'll just give you a quick look at the bearing for the laugh before we go. Give me some light. Some light. Ah, there we go. Ooh, what's in front of you? What is in front of you? Give me 1 second till I figure out what's going on. Ah, yes, part of the cover of my phone. Look at this, guys. Can you see how really ridiculously bad that is? Look at the rust. That would have done untold damage if it had busted out of there. That's no word of a lie. That's probably what happened to this engine. The whole bottom of the barrel was just gone, it was broke up. So it pays to change your bearings, guys. I'll be changing them all on this. Everything else seems to be middling decent. Right, guys, thanks for watching, and please comment on the length of my videos, what you want, and if this is your first time watching me, subscribe.